You're gonna have 4 desserts to choose from, and you can only pick one. You will leave your party guests speechless.
You made my decision very hard.
The whole thing with the Bake Squad, we're gonna have some friendly competition, but we're still a team.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Almost set me crying. I tasted love.
Thanks for trusting us.
The best is yet to come.
You know how many leprechauns I had to bribe to get this rainbow put together?
Let's find out. Go, go, go!
Welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian Brushwood is on an airplane right now, and even in this modern age, we cannot bring him into the show. But thankfully, we have Owen J.J. Stone, a.k.a. O-Doctor, in the house. Thank you for stepping in. Owen, it's good to see you.
I mean, I would say it's good to see you too, but I haven't received my check yet, Tom. I mean, when I have to fill in and do the job of 2 people, I expect payment. Okay,
I'm here.
I've been no. I've been bamboozled. I don't want the giggle audio track. I know Schwood versus audio giggle Schwood. I expect to be paid. I've been bamboozled by Tom 2 times in 14 days. I can't trust it, Tom. I can't trust you.
So Owen came on Daily Tech News Show recently, and Sarah had a last minute thing come up and wasn't there. And so all I can say, Owen, is when you show up on a show, I show up on a show. Maybe other people take off and do other things, but I am here when I know Owen J.J. Stone is coming for the show.
They just want to see us duke it out, okay? They want to see, heaven versus hell. They want to see He-Man versus Skeletor.
They're like, I don't want any part of that.
I want no parts of it. I get out of the way and let those 2 battle it out to the death.
The lucrative podcast pay-per-view, of course.
Yes, right.
Toe-to-toe, blow for blow. Let's go!
Yes, it is UFC. You found Cordkillers right here. What was that pre-roll? We were getting baked there in the pre-roll there, Bryce.
Yeah,
what was that about?
That was a trailer for Netflix's upcoming Bake Squad, a friendly cooking competition show where 4 baker friends compete to fulfill a client's dream and make it come true in dessert form. That's coming to Netflix August 11. So it's kind of a further twist on these cooking reality shows where people are not fighting each other. They're all working together. It's cool. Like, there's not even like a prize. The prize is that they go and do good work on TV.
Friendship is magic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm being told that is the case.
We've just got this in from our correspondent, Rainbow Dash. Let's get on to the primary target. We got news and sports. We'll have to put some weather in this show. Starting off with the news, Warner Media will launch a streaming news service in the U.S. under the CNN banner called, you might have easily guessed, CNN Plus. The service will launch after the first of the year, 2022. No word yet on how much it'll cost. There will not be an ad-free, there will only be an ad-free subscription. No free version with ads. So it's just, you pay, you get it. Like ESPN, CNN will include access to CNN Plus content in the existing CNN app, alongside any access you might or might not have to CNN's other programming through your TV subscription. CNN Plus will consist of original live and on-demand programming separate from its existing channels. It will also include access to past seasons of CNN shows. The new content will be made by existing CNN staff, along with 450 new hires that they are adding just for CNN Plus. Meanwhile, NBC News throwing more weight behind one of its streaming channels that it operates on Peacock called The Choice from MSNBC. If you don't know, Peacock includes a grid of 24/7 streaming channels, kind of like a Pluto TV or a Roku kind of thing, with NBC properties like comedies, SNL, The Office. Rotten Tomatoes has a channel on there. Several MSNBC anchors are taking on new shows streaming exclusively on The Choice. So you're going to get the MSNBC hosts doing things for The Choice. So, Owen, we have a couple of different approaches here to bringing news over from cable to streaming. CNN's using the ESPN Plus model, and you got more of a Pluto TV model coming from NBC.
Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this stuff. This is terrible. Like, I'm supposed to just go there and pay for another subscription. I can't afford it, Tom. I can't afford one more plus in my life, especially not 24-hour news media plus. I can't afford it. I don't want it. There's nothing creative that they're going to give me in this package that I'm going to care about, because guess what? When a volcano explodes, it's on every major news channel. I don't need to pay for plus to get vital information. What are they going to do? Interview Madoff's robot or something? This special? What are they going to do to get me to pay this money, Tom?
Well, you also
can't afford it.
You also don't even get the news. If I read this right, Tom, you don't get access to the 24-hour live video channel.
I mean, some people might argue you still don't get the news even on the 24-hour live video channel, but yes, no, you are correct. But you're not getting CNN's main channel here. You're getting new programming, 8 to 12 hours live of that programming, but separate programming. Now, to be clear, the choice from MSNBC available for free, because Peacock has the free with ads tier and the grid is available, so you wouldn't have to pay anything for that. But honestly, I think CNN is making the better bet, and hear me out. They know that cable subscriptions are doing this drop, but they haven't dropped far enough where they can abandon them. So they don't want to anger their current cable proprietors and get kicked off. So they can't put the main channel into an app that you pay for separately yet. They're not HBO, but they also know that there's a bunch of people, growing number every day, who aren't subscribing not only to cable, but even like a YouTube TV or anything else. And they know those people they might be able to reach. So my guess is, if you think about this like targeting a new channel at a demo, you've got the older demo watching regular CNN, and you've got this younger demo that isn't subscribing to cable. You create CNN Plus to maybe get some of that younger demo, but also have the landing pad ready for when you do move the big channel over eventually, once cable finally gets low enough that they can be like, yeah, it doesn't matter anymore if you get upset because you're not bringing in enough money anyway.
Listen to me here. I don't appreciate all your fancy talk about the future and the kids and the cord cutting. I cut the cord and I get all my news from my MeeMaw on Facebook. I get all the precedent and news that I need for free from my MeeMaw on Facebook. And sometimes they send a link over there to that Twitter thing. I get Fox 1, 7, 8, 9, 12, KBC, Kentucky Fox, all for free. They ain't getting my money, Tom. I don't care what nobody's saying. I'm connected.
So you're saying Peacock is your choice for the winner?
Hey, don't ask any questions. I'm just telling you the truth. My MeeMaw knows the internet and what's going on in the news. I can trust her.
Yeah.
Legitimate.
All kidding aside, I'm with you that most people are not going to pay for CNN Plus. I think CNN knows that. I think they're just creating the infrastructure for when cable dies. Even then, it might not still work.
And all jokes aside, at least they have the platform ready and there in the case that it does have something that people want. Better to be ahead of the curve on that than be behind and try and build something on the snide to get going. So I understand what they're doing. I do get it, but I'm not paying for it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have, I feel like not having the linear channel in here is a huge mistake. Like
it's something they can't do. The Spectrums and Comcasts won't let them do that yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, and also, so maybe they shouldn't do it until they have right. I mean, I could, if people can pay, will be able to pay for CNN Plus. In fact, they must pay for CNN Plus. It has to be distractingly obvious that you don't get the live channel with this, or like give people like an ad-free version of CNN.com or something. Something so that people who pay CNN money can get access to CNN reporting or journalism in some form. So it's not just CNN Originals, this thing that isn't like a huge home name.
I feel like you're paying for 60 minutes on demand is what they're offering you. Like,
well, yes, I think you're right.
60 minutes, not even because you don't get 60 minutes.
They may hope to get people come just for CNN Plus, but honestly, my guess is they expect the majority of people to be folks who are watching CNN and go, man, I want to watch old episodes of Bourdain, or oh, that promo for an interesting in-depth take sounded fun. How do I get that? How many of those people are out there? I have no idea. But that's probably how they're going to get most of their folks is this is plus. This is like, you like what we have here? We've got a little more, because that's what ESPN has done with ESPN Plus. It's not ESPN. It's, hey, do you want even more sports? We've got ESPN 1, 2, U, but
ESPN Plus gives me live sports though.
Right. And CNN Plus will give you live news, just won't be from the same people as on the main channel.
I get the B team. I get the B news team, which might even be better. There actually might be beat writers and beat reporters that are actually doing some real reporting still, instead of just sitting behind the desk regurgitating what they're fed on a prompter. So, and
they will use some of the people from the main channel in other things on that main channel. It kind of, there's a lot of questions as to how that mix all works. It just won't be replicating the exact same content. My guess is when there's a huge breaking news, though, that they will. They'll probably, because the Spectrums and Comcast will be okay. Like, hey man, this is wide world breaking news. We're going to put it on all our channels for free, no matter what. Because a lot of times they'll stream for free in those situations.
When you pay for it, Tom, give me your password.
I'll let you check it out.
Do you think that they will make a combo in the way that Disney's made one for Hulu, ESPN, and Disney Plus? Do you think that there will be a turn?
Oh yeah,
because I have the same feeling about ESPN Plus, which is, we'll talk about it here in just a second, but it is some live sports and it's some games, but it's not all sports and it's not all games. And
they told Variety they're not going to do any bundles with CNN Plus, but
who owns CNN? That's the real question. Who can they bundle
right
with?
now? AT&T owns CNN, but shortly, in several months, it's going to be owned by a combination of Discovery and Warner Media in the new spinoff merger. And in that world, you're going to have a Discovery plus HBO Max CNN Plus bundle. I mean, how could you not? I almost guarantee they will change their tune on that.
Worst bundle in America, by the way.
I mean, HBO Max is good. HBO Max is good, and people seem to like Discovery.
HBO Max is not bundling with anybody. They are their own juggernaut, and they're not sharing. Everybody else, I know Warner's like, look, you can do whatever you want. Don't bring HBO in this. Don't mess up The Sopranos and my movie premieres and your little mess. They might bundle the other stuff, but they would have been made a bundle if that was
what's
the case.
Interesting is they're going to put sports into HBO Max, but apparently not news. Like, why not just put the CNN content into HBO Max? Why spin it out like this? That is interesting.
Yeah. Unless they change it. But right now, HBO is all by its lonesome. They got a nice little powerhouse going over there. That's how I watch my Rick and Mortys and my Sheldons. I forget how many things Warner Brother owns. Like, I just watched Space Jam, and all the characters, like, man, they own everything. They own everything.
Yeah.
And they're going to have hockey over there. They're going to have some basketball over there. I mean, it's interesting. Speaking of hockey and basketball, we got some news about ESPN Plus to get to in a second. But before we do, just a reminder that Brian Brushwood, we just couldn't afford him this week. I mean, that's plain and simple. We're saying he was traveling for family reasons or whatever. But if we don't get more patrons by next week, there's no more Brian Brushwood. So Patreon.com/Cordkillers. It's really the only way the show is supported. It is how we pay for the show.
Tom, and you mean that quite literally, Tom. We have to pay for the show. We have to pay for Brian and Tom. I mean, thankfully, we could afford you this week.
Yeah,
I mean, I can fill in for Brian, but filling in for Tom. Think of it as
Cordkillers Plus.
Yeah, that's right.
At patreon.com/Cordkillers. Let's talk about how to watch. Starting August 13th. Oh, yeah. Starting August 13th, ESPN Plus will cost you $70 a year. That's $10 more than it does right now, up from $60 a year. The monthly will go up from $6 to $7 a month. Bundles, though, will not go up. If you're getting that ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus bundle, your price will stay the same. But it looks like you may be getting more for your money from ESPN Plus in a strategy that I think might point the way to the future of televised sports. Disney plans to spread sports around among its digital properties rather than keeping it all on ESPN. We're kind of used to ABC having some stuff, but Sunday Night Baseball is coming to ABC. The NHL is coming to ESPN, but some NHL games are going to show on Hulu, and NHL's out-of-market streaming package is moving to ESPN Plus as an add-on. More Wimbledon coverage is coming to ESPN Plus in 2024. And in 2026, when Disney gets the Super Bowl for the first time in 20 years, it plans to broadcast it on multiple networks with different presentations. Some might offer different camera views. Other will feature different commentators, maybe celebrity commentators or different athletes. ESPN offered 14 different broadcasts for the College Football Championship this year, for example. ESPN has also grabbed up rights recently and has all 4 major U.S. sports, and has, in getting those new agreements, pressed for the flexibility to offer games on alternate outlets like ESPN Plus and Hulu. Right now, if a game's going a little long on ESPN, all they can do is put it on ESPN2. In the future, they may say like, oh, if you want to watch that game that just started, go over to Hulu, go over to ESPN Plus. As traditional cable subscriptions to ESPN drop, Disney needs to find an avenue to keep sports fans watching and paying. And ESPN Plus having actual real games, even if they're spillover sometime, is an improvement. And certainly an improvement to bring a Super Bowl presentation with particular commentators or bring more Wimbledon matches over to ESPN Plus. Owen, what do you make of all this?
So I got on the Hulu on Thursdays, ESPN on Saturday, minus the ABC.
It's just easier to get the bundle.
Oh, okay. Because even still, I'd have to check if I was on the Hulu to go through the ESPN, and then if I had,
you can get ESPN Plus in the Hulu interface now. So yeah, you're
okay.
You're all good.
It just sounds like too much, but at the same time, more games are great, and all this sounds fine. I've got the bundle, so I'm not upset about the price change. The biggest thing that they could do to bring people into this is to have other commentators on sporting events. I watched those. I watched one of those Logan Paul fight things, and they had Snoop Dogg as a commentator. I didn't care about any of those fights. I didn't care what was going on. There were 5 dudes on the stage smoking a lot of weed and making the best commentary on nothingness that I've ever heard in sports in a long time. I would pay, quote unquote, extra to watch something like that. Obviously not without all profanity, but just somebody fun, or like a regular guy. Like if they just had like 5 guys sitting in a basement somewhere going over the sports, you could watch that or something. They've got to do something that makes it worthwhile to me. But it sounds like they're giving better options. So I'm okay with this. I like this.
You know what would be great is this was one of the test streams one of the streams that they tested out last football season, which was the Nickelodeon broadcast, right? Doing an entire broadcast program just for Nickelodeon and children. And you had a child announcer, you had little video bumpers from SpongeBob and Young Sheldon, and it was cool. It was really interesting. I feel like I would pay some amount of money to see something like that, where like they're like sliming, they're putting like a CGI slime on the touchdown players. Like that's fun. I think that they've shown that there are ways to do that.
Yeah, and the only downside I'll say to that is that I won't get any adult content because it's Disney. Yeah. Like I would never get like I just said, 5 guys or, like whatever. I wouldn't get like real conversation because it's Disney, but that the Nickelodeon thing, that was fun. My daughter watched that. Like anything added on like that is great for sports, just to give us a different feel for the genre.
And one of the things they're also announced just today that they're going to do is Monday Night Football is going to have alternate broadcasts on certain weeks where they will have Eli and Peyton Manning talking about the game. You'll still be able to get the regular broadcast if you want, but if you'd rather hear the brothers just chatting with each other, you can choose that one.
And Peyton Manning is a man among men. Like he's the guy you want to have a beer with. He's a funny individual. His brother is like watching paint dry, but to be fair, when they're together, his brother gets amped up a little bit more and is more lively. So that sounds really interesting to me. That sounds really fun to me. Peyton Manning is like the Tom Merritt of football. He just knows too much. He sounds too suave and he's too interesting, but it's good for people to get that kind of take. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like even more than the news that we talked about with CNN, this is pointing the future of sports, right? We are going to see live broadcasts move to digital platforms. So you're like, as I mentioned before, NHL moving to HBO Max in some cases, but also ESPN for a lot of this stuff. You are going to see a lot of sports moving across the Disney properties. You're going to see them try to lock up sports for Paramount Plus, which has some of the rights to the CBS oriented sports. So if you're wondering where you're going to get your live sports in the future in a post-cable world, this is what they think it's going to look like. You pay for the apps that carry the sports you want.
And I think and it was not Disney doing those multiple tests. It was Turner, right? It was Warner because it was Nickelodeon and Amazon.
Oh, that'd be Viacom CBS.
But I think, I mean, we talked about it when they announced these simul streams, but like I think that could be like a major future for sports, is not just here's the sport, the most popular thing, but here are now flavors of the sport for different levels of knowledge, different ages. They're one of the ones that they were talking about doing one that is kind of geared towards female viewers. Like it's there's a lot of money in the NFL, and I feel like we're going to see more of these simul-stream versioning than less. And if they can make them
especially for the big games like that, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Monday night,
Owen's
girls'
point,
night.
Yeah.
To Owen's point, make it easy too. Don't make me figure out what app the Nickelodeon thing is. Just give me the game in my app and then give me a drop-down menu where I can be like, oh yeah, I want the girls' night. Oh wait, no, maybe I want Nickelodeon. Okay, and I just choose it. Let me switch back and forth easily, so I can sample lots of different ones. Maybe
just make it easy. Come on, that's the whole. Just make it easy.
All right, let's talk about what to watch in Under Surveillance.
It's all about location. Under Surveillance.
So, very, very slight spoiler for the season finale of Loki coming. It's not even from the plot, but at the end, a screen during the credits shows the words, Loki will return in season 2, meaning Disney decided to announce the second season of Loki in a mid-credits roll. Theories abound if this will pick up after Doctor Strange or will go straight from what we saw in season 1 of Loki. Owen, do you have a theory or no?
I feel like it's going straight after Doctor Strange because I don't know how to say it without spoiling. I feel like this universe is going to be the new Thanos, and it's going to continue on for the arc of many movies. It's not just the universe of madness fixes everything.
The multiverse. Yeah. Right.
I feel like it's like a standoff type of situation where you get a semi result, but I'll tell you in spoiler time my theory about the long game, but I think it's going to carry over.
Yeah, I kind of feel like because Doctor Strange is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and a main plot line of the entire Loki season was multiverse and probably still will be, it makes sense that we'll have events in Doctor Strange. They'll do a quick catch up previously on Loki and Doctor Strange, if you haven't seen it, and take us right there in Loki, and then probably link us to something else that's coming after that.
Yeah. It's interesting. You don't see swings like this anymore, baking a season announcement into your show, because seasons either they order two seasons from the get-go nowadays, or they just play it by ear and see if people
or you got to sell ads. With Disney not selling ads on any of this stuff, they didn't have to tell anybody ahead of time. All they care about is themselves.
And Bryce, you got to also remember we're in a COVID year. Everything got pushed back. So they already had the plan. Disney already has this arc. Marvel has the arc already set in place. So no matter whether you like, if Loki flopped, it doesn't matter. I needed to tell this continuing story. So we're going to get season 2, whether you like it or not. It just happened to be good enough. Great. But they have this because it tells an overall story. You know, you have all these movies. Some of them are hits, some of them are trash, but they are part of a large novella. So they have to have it.
Yeah. Speaking of large and novel, Amazon likes ambitious fantasy projects. It's making a Lord of the Rings series out of the appendix of Lord of the Rings. And it's also adapting the 14-book series Wheel of Time from Robert Jordan into a series as well. One thing about Wheel of Time is that the main story has flashbacks to a time before in the books. Given Amazon's predilection for turning illusions to imaginary past in fiction into a series, a la Lord of the Rings, may come as no surprise that Amazon is developing the flashbacks from the Wheel of Time books and legends from the book Wheel of Time Companion into a film trilogy prequel. Zach Stentz, who wrote for Thor and X-Men First Class, will be writing the first film.
Are either of you guys? I'm not familiar with the. I know of it, but
I have read the first book in the Wheel of Time series, and everyone who loves it asks me why I haven't read the second, and I say only I'm a failure as a Wheel of Time fan.
My question is if there's enough meat to fill out a trilogy. Only because Lord of the Rings, obviously a famous action adventure trilogy, but you look at The Hobbit, which tried to turn one book into 3 movies and had to fill in a lot of screen time.
Yeah,
people watched it though.
And Wheel of Time has a rabid fan base, right? Amazon's not trying to get viewers, it's trying to retain viewers. And I think it's like, man, if you got Amazon Prime and we give you 3 Wheel of Time prequels and already guaranteed 2 seasons of an actual Wheel of Time series, because they're already shooting season 2, nobody who loves Robert Jordan, and there's a significant number of those people, are going to cancel their Prime subscription. Nobody.
Well, nobody cancels their Prime subscription because you're addicted to Amazon Prime. That's the other reason Amazon does this stuff, because they can. They literally have to do things because you already are invested. Every once in a while, I forget that I own Amazon Prime, and then I go watch something like this thing I want to talk about later. It happens to be so great. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe Amazon did this. Why did they do this? How did they do this? And then they go do it. And that's why they're doing it, because they've got the service out there and they need to pull you in so that I could go rent the Bourne Legacy like I did the other day, because I was in the ecosystem watching the show and I was like, you know what? I want to watch Jason Bourne. I'll pay for it today. So they've got to make stuff. So if they got the fans, they're going to keep pumping out stuff with meat or no meat, Bryce. It'll be bones. They'll still be making it.
What's interesting, one of the viewers in the chat said that there's apparently plenty of material to fill three films, which is almost like less interesting to me. I almost liked the idea of like, oh, okay, we're Amazon. We're trying to build out franchises. So let's take a huge franchise and target the prequels as a way to like write original material. But if there's already tons of original material there, then they are not even doing that.
It's a fan play, pure and simple. It's like every fan of Wheel of Time right now is super excited at the idea of seeing those flashbacks also show up, not just as flashbacks in the series, but as their own films, I think. Vulture.com has been doing the Lord's work, interviewing the directors and prop maker Joe Holiday from the Netflix series I Think You Should Leave about how they produced the coffin flops in the sketch Coffin Flops, in which dead bodies supposedly fall out of cheaply made coffins. The trick involved a lot of stunt workers, professional stunt workers doing professional stunt worker work, and balsa wood. Really, just read the article and watch the videos, folks. But first, see the series if you haven't. Owen?
This is such a great piece to read.
So this kind of stuff bothers me so much. Like I don't care about anything. Nothing bothers me in the world. I've been in a place trying to buy fire. I've sat in a jail cell, took a nap. Nothing bothers me. Watching people fall out of coffins gives me such anxiety watching it. It's freaking me out to like it's hurting my chest. You know what I mean? I don't care about killing people, murder, death, all that stuff's fine. But this is just, there's such a ritual about the funeral and taking somebody. This is freaking me out that this is a thing. And
this should make you feel better about it, that it's like, oh, but it was actually live people. It wasn't actual
the way you feel, the way you just like, I love those little African dancing dudes with the caskets, but at least I know that they're Iron Man and they never really dropped a casket. The one time I watched them drop a casket, I was like, oh no, Superman's down. Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying?
Are you saying Coffin Flops is not a real show?
You know what? It doesn't matter how fake or real it is. It still freaks my heart out. My chest hurts right now. It could be it could be a cartoon right now and I wouldn't like it, okay? I would not like it. This is freaky stuff. I'm sorry.
Especially when when they get up after
And
they
they
fall.
start wiggling. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. I don't know. I've gone to a lot of black funerals. I've seen a lot of aunties begging for the person to get up out of the casket and come back to them. And if they just have to get up and come back to me, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might shoot them. There's a zombie in there. I can't trust it.
Look, we just go and film the funerals and show the ones where the bodies come out. That's all we're doing.
That's all we do. Freaking me out, guys. You're freaking me out.
Paramount Pictures and Bad Robot have hired Matt Shakman, who directed WandaVision, to direct a new Star Trek feature film. So Noah Hawley, Quentin Tarantino, those are on ice. We're getting one from Matt Shakman. The screenplay is written by Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson. You may know Robertson wrote Captain Marvel. No word on whether a cast has been picked. Doesn't sound like that's been set, but here's the latest attempt to make a new Star Trek movie.
I enjoy the Star Trek movies. Is that a bad thing? Is there something?
No, I love the Star Trek movies. It's just since what was the last one Justin Lin did?
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah,
Star Trek 2. Star Trek 2. The second Star Trek movie. I don't know.
Since that one, I've been ready for the next one, and they keep telling me like, "Oh, we've got this idea." Oh wait, no, that one's not working out. Oh, we got this idea. Oh wait, yeah.
Well, it's just like Christmas. You just got to wake up and it'll be there, and then you're good to go. I just need more lens flares, baby. I don't get enough movies with lens flares. You see, I got the lights on behind me. I just want more flares in my life, baby. I need that.
What if he moves past that?
What? I'll burn this house down. If there's no lens flares, it ain't Star Trek, okay? That's all I know.
I demand it. Mentioned Anthony Bourdain earlier. A documentary about Anthony Bourdain called Roadrunner has brought in $1.9 million from theaters, signaling the return of the indie art house from the pandemic. We talked a lot about F9 and Black Widow bringing in the blockbuster movie dollars, but dollars coming back for the art films and the documentaries. It's the strongest of the so-called specialty openings of the year, and number 8 overall grossing for the weekend. Benefited from a little press too, as director Morgan Neville admitted to using machine learning to recreate Bourdain's voice for a few lines in the film. He wouldn't tell the New Yorker all of the ones that he used machine learning to recreate. He only admitted to one of Bourdain reading an email he had sent to a friend. So it was Bourdain's voice reading Bourdain's actual words, just that he had never been recorded reading that email out loud before.
My understanding is that this happens a lot. I remember seeing this news story over the weekend because of this machine learning voice thing, but my understanding is, I mean, obviously there's a long history of using sound-alike voices.
Not with documentary. Not with that. Yes. Using machine learning to fix an actor's line or correct a mispronunciation is a thing that has been happening with technology, but no one has used it to make someone say a thing they didn't say in a documentary situation where you're supposed to be relying on the facts, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good wrinkle.
And they usually use like a sibling. I remember Aaliyah's brother like did voiceover for her because Paul from Fast and the Furious, his brother did a lot of his voice things. Like they used family members and they digitized or whatever. So yeah, the documentary thing and just full on putting words in somebody's mouth. Hey, you could, it's a documentary. It's supposed to be real, true fact life stuff. Like it's supposed to be legit. It's not supposed to be fantasy.
I think if he disclosed it, like, hey, we use machine learning to make it sound like Anthony's voice, but it is a computer reading these parts, I don't think as many people would have had near as much of a problem because it's disclosed, right? Where it becomes weird is like, well, now you're making me think he said things that he didn't actually say. So, okay, using the computer to have his email be read out loud, I guess I could be okay with that because it's actually his words. But what else did you do? And how do I know? I think that's where people get hung up.
I mean, we don't get as hung up on, say, dramatic reenactments in true crime.
But it's clear that reenactment comes up on the screen. It's very, very transparent.
I guess so. Or like the use of B-roll, right? I mean, I watched that WeWork documentary recently, or even like the Fire Festival documentaries. Those are a lot of B-roll, a lot of like actual footage from the time, but also clearly a lot of stock footage. Is that also the same thing, or is that
it depends on what it's used for, right?
Yeah.
If it's stock footage pretending to be something else, that would be a problem. If it's stock footage when you're like New York City, and it's just stock footage of New York City. Yeah, that's probably okay, right? It's all context.
And I read an article one time that gave a great explanation of why cut scenes and B-roll look so horrible in storytelling. Is to mentally, subconsciously let the viewer know that this isn't real. It is a reenactment.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why they're all shot in that kind of style, like either sped up or like the shading of people. There's a reason they do that, so that you know that this isn't live
It
action
signals
fact
to
of
you,
what
like,
happened. Yes.
Yeah. Those actors are really bad. Real people wouldn't have been that bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. A few other notes here. Want to know how the new shorter theatrical exclusive window feels? Well, A Quiet Place Part 2 hit Paramount Plus last week. It has been 45 days since it premiered in theaters. That's the new window, 30 to 45 days. Amazon is getting access to Sony Pictures Television classic TV series from Norman Lear. So that includes All in the Family, Good Times, Maude, One Day at a Time, 227, Different Strokes, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son. It says Sanford and Sanford and Son. They'll all show up on either Prime Video or IMDb TV, some on both. No one show will be on both, though. So individual shows will be on one or the other. House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel, has stopped down shooting in the UK after a member of the production tested positive for COVID-19. And NBC canceled the series Manifest after 3 seasons the week of June 14th. And we just got the Nielsen numbers on streaming out for the week of June 14th. Netflix won the week with the first 2 seasons of Manifest. As soon as people found out it was getting canceled, they all rushed to Netflix to watch it. And Netflix has passed on picking up the 4th season, but now those Nielsen numbers are out. I don't know. Maybe they can get pressured into changing their mind.
They need to get pressured into it. I'm tired of people canceling shows that I love. There's other shows out there that are just getting canceled. I'm like, but I watched it. Didn't that count? Don't I count?
Did you watch Manifest?
I know other people did.
Yeah.
Not yet, because it got canceled. See, I'm the opposite. When I hear something gets canceled, I stop wanting to look forward to watching it, because I'm like, I already know I'm going to be invested. Now you done shut it off.
Yeah.
But they're shoving it down my throat every week, though. They keep telling me every day I need to watch it.
And also, the article about the way that Manifest was judged as higher than like the next biggest show, which was Disney Plus's Luca, was based on watch time. So like, of course, this drama series with at least 3 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons of content are going to outperform a 90-minute movie. I mean,
but Downton Abbey has 50 episodes and it's only number 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And Lucifer has 83 episodes on Netflix, number 7.
They brought Lucifer back. Lucifer is amazing. I love Lucifer. And now it's on HBO. I get to see naked butts and hear a lot of foul language. So it's great now it's on Netflix. Now I appreciate that. So I like Lucifer. Keep it going.
There you go. All right, let's talk about what we've had our eyes on. Owen, JJ Stone, what is something you've been watching you want to tell the folks about?
Amazon Prime. I know you got Amazon. I know you don't watch anything on Amazon Prime, but the show is called Them. It is about a family in the 60s, black family going from the South to California. The dad's an engineer, a whole lot of ghosts and crazy stuff going on, a whole lot of racial violence. There's demons and devils, and it is crazy. Like, it's so crazy that before a couple of episodes, they give you like a long warning, like, yo, this is going to disturb you. Be careful. We're going to talk about it with the cast afterwards, but we know we're going to mess you up watching this episode. We're sorry. And it messes you up, boy. Like, ooh, makes you feel everything. It's a great show. It's called Them. Take some time. It's only like 9-10 episodes. Go watch. It is great. It is great.
So this reminds me of the horror film Us.
Yep. Okay. Kind of similar-esque, but it's not the government per se, but it is like there's a part where you don't know if it's racism from white people in the 60s or if it's demons and devils messing with this family, because stress messes with people's minds. It's like, well, I moved into a white neighborhood and now everybody wants us out. Is it the stress that's making them see these things, or is it evil that's making them see these things? And it takes you on a ride. And like I said, episode 4, but you just got to watch this show. It is. Yeah. It takes like a lot of real life stuff, but again, it takes that supernatural stuff. It's great. It's a great show.
And it's a period piece,
drama.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Bryce, what about you?
We always miss this because these are always tied to holidays when we take Cordkillers off. But just last week was Summer Games Done Quick. This is the online week-long marathon where players from around the world go and play video games very, very fast. And if you don't catch it live, I mean, watching it live is one thing, but if you don't, they put all of the games, all of the runs up on YouTube. I think if you just search Games Done Quick, you'll find it. But twice a year, my YouTube page gets flooded by hundreds of video game speedruns, and it's a fun little surprise. But there's a lot of good stuff here. Some of the runs that I really liked this year were Factorio. There's an any percent for Factorio. The time loop game Outer Wilds is fantastic. There's also a 100% run of this great comedy game called Jazz Punk, and because it's 100%, you get to see all of the gags that maybe you missed when you played it before. But they're great. They're on YouTube. Games Done Quick. They have like time codes for when the games start and when they do interviews and stuff. It's fantastic, and it's free. They do it twice a year. Check it out.
We watched Gunpowder Milkshake, which has a great cast. It's a dumb, fun movie. If you just want a shoot 'em up action movie, kind of John Wick, but kind of not taking itself that seriously at all. Gunpowder Milkshake, check that out. But the main one I want to talk about was McCartney 321. It's a 6-part documentary where producer Rick Rubin, who started Def Jam with Russell Simmons, sits down with Paul McCartney and just talks about the music while listening to it. So they have the full masters of Beatles and Paul McCartney songs, and they can sit there and like take out the vocals or pump up the bass or move in the drums, and they talk about what was happening when the songs were recorded, and they can isolate stuff and talk about like, oh, this is what makes this song so good that people don't maybe not realize is the bass is doing a really interesting thing here. Paul, why'd you do that? And it also kind of travels off into anecdotes about Paul's time with the Beatles, also some of the anecdotes of his early work as well. But it's really focused on the music. And because Rick Rubin is a legendary music producer of his own, you can tell that Paul trusts him when he asks a question, that he's not trying to trap him or trick him or do something. And you get some really interesting answers out of Paul, along with hearing the music in a totally new way. So if you are into the Beatles and Paul McCartney, check it out on Hulu, McCartney 321.
Nice.
All right, what should we be on the lookout for, Bryce?
Hey, we got a pick from JJ4884 about 2 comedy specials worth checking out. JJ writes, "Hello, Cordkillers. I have a reco for a new comedy special that was released in late 2020 on Amazon Prime. This is called I Was Not Ready Da. This is a special by South Indian comic Aravind S.A., famous for his prior stand-up special Madrasi Da, which is referenced in the I Was Not Ready Da stand-up special. Even though I was born in the U.S., being raised in a South Indian family, which is a different language and a religion, but similar cultural experience, I was able to laugh at many of his jokes in both of his specials. Thanks, JJ4884. Thank you, JJ. Yeah, this is interesting. Both of these specials, which is I Was Not Ready Da, the Da is just D-A, and Madrasi Da are streaming for free on Amazon Prime Video, as long as you've got the Amazon Prime subscription. If you've got something we should be on the lookout for, email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Thank you.
Hey, folks, the only way we're able to stream this out is on a Doghouse Systems machine. And the only way Brian got those Doghouse Systems machines was because he promised y'all would buy a bunch of them. Yes. So one of you can buy all of them right now. That'd be great. Or, if you're just in the market for a new machine, they're really good machines. Go check them out, doghousesystems.com/V/rogue. You get a free solid state drive when you sign up there. But honestly, just tell Doghouse Systems that Cordkillers sent you if you do pick one up.
That's right.
And if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, of course, go to freetomnewsletter.com.
And now, is that where I can find This Week in Tom Merritt?
That is This Week in Tom Merritt.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
That's at freetomnewsletter.com, right? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Very cool. I'm going to subscribe now.
I've given out the first 2 chapters on my writer's Patreon of a forthcoming audiobook through that newsletter.
Ooh.
So, you want to check it out.
Check it out.
Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
When we talked about the 80 million, 60 million split of Black Widow on Disney Plus versus theaters, we noted that the second week in theaters would be telling on the impact of streaming on theatrical revenue. Would you have a lot of people who would have waited for the second weekend just buying it digitally and watching it at home? Black Widow dropped to second place in revenue last week, 26.3 million. That's a 67% decline, kind of steep. Disney did not give an update on week 2 Disney Plus revenue for the movie. That's also kind of telling, although maybe they just wouldn't have anyway. And so the National Association of Theater Owners were quick to issue a press release pointing out the steep drop-off and arguing that Black Widow would have made more money for everyone if it had been a theater exclusive only. Black Widow did well internationally, only seeing a 55% drop-off and leading the worldwide box office. So second week in a row, number 1 movie in the world. Now, arguably, Disney Plus has less of an effect worldwide because it has fewer subscribers worldwide and is not even available in all the countries that Black Widow is out in theaters. But the winner at the box office domestically last week, the one that nudged Black Widow into second, was Space Jam, a movie that has not already been slammed by critics, but is available at no additional charge to watch on HBO Max. So a movie that you didn't even have to pay extra to watch at home if you already got HBO Max beat Black Widow at the box office. Black Widow, of course, you could watch in the theaters or pay for it. I just think, sure, the National Association of Theater Owners, this is what they're going to do. They're going to see some bad numbers. They're going to push for their own advantage. I get that. I don't know that anybody can really say they know what's going on with this. Do you?
Well, I cried during Space Jam. I did not cry during Black Widow. And I watched Black Widow in the theater. I watched Space Jam at home. And I get free movies, so I could have went and watched Space Jam at the theater too. I just chose not to that day. So they need to put stuff back in the theaters if they want to make money. Me sitting at home and even being able to order it. The thing that people don't realize the most about the internet is once you put regular people online, they figure out how to steal things and get it for free. I know a lot of not bright people out here with Amazon Fire Sticks that are just watching everything on Disney for free. So your numbers are going to plummet when you have major box office movies like anything Marvel. Anything Marvel, there's no reason in the world you should have it online for people to sit at home. Because I'll just invite 32 people over. I got a 75-inch screen. I might as well charge admission outside the front of my porch to come watch it.
I feel like that gets exaggerated though, and especially gets exaggerated by the theater owners and such, because piracy is background radiation. And yes, you make it easier for the piracy to happen when you put it digitally online. But also, not everybody wants to go to the trouble of continually troubleshooting that Fire TV stick, right? Not everybody wants to go over to the person's house that has the Fire TV stick. You don't make 80 million on theaters if piracy was the major threat that it's made. I'm not saying it has no effect. I'm just saying I think it gets exaggerated.
And also, Space Jam is a family-friendly movie. Not that Black Widow is full of curse words and blood, but Black Widow is an action-adventure kind of spy thriller. Space Jam is the sequel to Space Jam.
Space Jam's all ages, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like you want to make money, you put it in the theater, you don't put it in people's houses. That's all. Yeah. Like there's a reason for that. That's just, I mean, not backing those movie people up, but they need that money. We need to keep it going because I like watching stuff on the big screen. I can't have it die, Tom. I can't lose it.
I like watching it in theaters too. I'm with you there. I think there's a way to do both. I think there's a way to keep it going. Good food at the theater. That'll get me in every time. You cannot win an Emmy though unless you have it available on someone's television, and Disney Plus racked up an impressive 71 Emmy nominations, 23 for WandaVision, 24 for The Mandalorian, 12 for Hamilton, 5 for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But that impressive number still fell far behind Netflix's 129 nominations. 129, led by 24 for The Crown, 18 for The Queen's Gambit, and 12 for Bridgerton. They both got beat by HBO Max's 130 nominations, led by Lovecraft Country's 18, 16 for Mare of Easttown, 15 for Hacks, 9 for The Flight Attendant, which was an HBO Max original, not even just HBO Max. Yeah. Apple TV Plus got 34 nominations, 20 of those were for Ted Lasso. Hulu got 25 nominations, 21 of those for The Handmaid's Tale. And Quibi even got 8 Emmy nominations for Reno 911, Die Hard, and Mapleworth Murders, though those are Roku's nominations now because there is no Quibi. But because Roku's got them, they qualify.
Do you think this is why Marvel has been, let's say, cagey about why? Like we've covered in the past, after WandaVision and before Winter Soldier came out, like all of the Comic-Con talk of, will there be a sequel? Well, we want the right story. Like, do you think some of that is just so that they could target the miniseries category here? Because this is a lot of nominations for some okay shows that maybe stand out a little bigger among miniseries.
I don't. I think when they say we approve series because of content reasons, that they meet it. I think all these other strategies of like whether we're going to submit it as a comedy or a miniseries or a drama, those come after. Those come next. I really do think for Marvel, it's like we've got a content strategy that works. It's a money machine, and we figure out how that works. Then we figure out like, okay, how do we pitch this? How do we push it for award consideration? I don't think the award consideration drives it.
Okay.
And they need content because your kids, yes, they watch Frozen 32,000 times, but for me to feel like it has value, I need new content. That's why the layout strategy and the promotion of them comes on the back of the hill. So it gives me something to watch. But, oh yeah, I'm paying $8.44 for at least I get this one thing. Because how many old movies am I watching? I'm not watching a lot of them. And side note, last thing to say, I'm so mad at HBO because they have a problem apparently with Black artist-led creation shows. Lovecraft getting all these nominations and then they canceled after one season. The Watchmen getting canceled. Like, what are we doing? At least Netflix went and picked up the chick that made Lovecraft and is bringing that into the Netflix fold. But HBO, stop messing up my dark matter, okay? Keep a little flavor in your life, HBO. Get on my nerves. Get on my nerves.
Here's our Netflix roundup for the week. Netflix did hire video game exec Mike Verdu as its vice president of game development. We talked about the rumors that they were going to get into game development. Verdu previously was VP of content for Facebook Reality Labs, overseeing Oculus Studios. Before that, he was VP of mobile at EA and president of studios and COO at Zynga, the Farmville people. Netflix introduced a new top 10 row for age-restricted profiles across 93 countries, available on TV, mobile, and web apps, though not on the Apple TV app yet at launch. And the mystery of who would get the rights for Universal's animated movies in the middle of the 18-month pay one window. Remember, we said live action was going not to Peacock, but going elsewhere. It's solved. Netflix got the animated Universal movies.
I mean, as far as games, people are really honed in on games, but these are gonna be my theory. I don't know if you all have theories, but my theory is that this will be a very simple mobile-focused game that lives in the Netflix app that kids can click around in while they're watching a show. Like they're not. This doesn't mean we're going to get 10 new Bandersnatches, right? Because it's expensive. It's expensive to make that video content.
I don't think it's going to be 10 new Bandersnatches. I do think it'll be all ages, though. I think you're right about it. There will be kids for sure, because of the reasons you're saying. There will also be other franchises, because I think what Netflix wants to do here is bind you to franchises. And they haven't figured out what those are yet. Stranger Things is probably one of them. Bridgerton looks like it might be shaping up to be another one. But they want to have those franchises like Disney has that they grew in-house and they can make all the money off them from games and merchandise and everything else.
And they do have a couple of Stranger Things they're mobile games.
They did license those out to be made. And I think that was testing their toe in the water for sure.
Yeah. The only game I want Netflix to come out with is something where I could do movie trivia night across the seas. Like we could just sit down with our phone or do something where like movie actors who played this, what year that came out. I feel like that would be my type of jam. Like just to have an old school trivia night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wait,
you don't know Reed.
Yes. Like they totally can do that. That would be the perfect thing. Oh my gosh. And you remember
heard it here first on Cordkillers. You heard it here first. That's my idea.
You remember Netflix Max, the search assistant that they had? The people who make You Don't Know Jack made that tool. The Jellyvision people made that. So there's connected. That would be very smart to say The Netflix app has a Jackbox game in it, and it's very easy for everyone to play. Wow.
That's the
really
only
smart.
thing I'm excited about. That's the only thing I care about. That's the only thing I want. And I tweeted about it. I'm going to keep saying it out loud because that's the only thing that will make me happy. I don't care about farmland and farmvilles and jewels. I want trivia night.
Google added new tools to Android TV that already appear in the Google TV version of the set-top box software. Remember, Google TV is more of an interface on top of Android TV. But now, if you just have Android TV, you can add titles to a watch list from across the Android TV system, including Google Search. It'll still show up on your Android TV. Show detail pages will now have trailers that autoplay, but you can turn it off. And home screen settings on Android TV now has a content preferences section where you can fine-tune your content preferences. The Discover tab will also have a card called Improve Your Recommendations. The 2020 Toshiba 4K UHD Smart Fire TV with Dolby Vision and the 2020 Insignia 4K UHD Smart TV with Fire TV now support Apple's AirPlay 2 and HomeKit. That's right, 2 Fire TVs now support AirPlay 2 and HomeKit. AirPlay should work as soon as your TV gets the free firmware update. If you want to turn on HomeKit, you'll have to enable that in settings. And in what has become common, Charter Communications has reached a deal with Viacom CBS not only to carry its cable and broadcast TV channels, but also streaming services. Customers of Charter's Spectrum cable TV service will be able to get Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, BET Plus, and Noggin through Spectrum, either getting billed or just having it on your Spectrum box through your Spectrum app.
No corncob TV, huh? Interesting.
They're saying that's not a real show or a real network.
I didn't rig anything, Tom.
I know you didn't. You didn't ring shite.
Yeah.
Let's get to some dispatches from the front. Lots of good emails about Black Widow here. HG in Australia says, what has kept me from going out to the cinema has not only been a lack of films I feel warrant a cinema visit, but opening hours. He says, my local chain is relatively small. Living out in suburbia, its prime hours given limited blockbusters appear to be during the day. Most showtimes have been pre-7 p.m. since it reopened. As Black Widow release approached recently, I intended to travel 18 kilometers to the next cinema that had some later sessions to get the cinema AV and overpriced popcorn experience, but due to a lockdown, due to a few local COVID cases, we were permitted to ascend cinemas, but there was a requirement for masks, which was personally a no-go for me. I was much happier to pay Disney Plus to have a date night at home sans mask. So there you go. Just circumstances not working out for HG there, it sounds like. Yeah. We also got an email from Onder who said, while you were talking last week about how Black Widow did in the theater versus at home, it got me to wildly speculate on the future. I almost went to the theater Thursday night to watch Black Widow because I knew if I didn't, I'd have to wait an entire day to see it at home on Friday. Then I thought, that's a lot like your Patreon. When you subscribe, you get Spoilerin time a day early. The serious fans of the franchise will pay to get it that one day earlier than everyone else. And if you throw in a little after things after the movie in the theater, but only for theater watchers, makes it even more of an experience. Maybe it won't play out that way, but I can see theaters catering to serious fans by offering perks the way Patreons do. I also feel that first day theater goers are most likely to double dip on the content by buying it at home as well. So it's advantageous to give them more incentives to go out.
That makes sense. The movie preview, the movies that's come out on Friday, technically coming out on Thursday. We've been seeing that in years past. It makes sense, especially as we're talking about windowing. I wouldn't be surprised if the theater owners were like, hey, give us a day. If you're Netflix, just give us a day. Give us a day. Or
1 day window.
Yeah. Or like exclusive, like an interview after the movie. Like that's what they do with some of those Fathom events or when they show like anime, they'll have a little something to keep you
used
around.
to do that too. They would like when Parasite was out, they had certain showings would have like a Q&A afterwards. Thing is, most people just got up and left. They didn't stick around.
Yeah. I need a 48-hour head start.
Knowing that there's something at the end of it.
Hours.
Yeah. And then Dan said, while talking about the box office and results for Black Widow, a question came to my mind. How much of that money actually goes to Disney? No, it depends on the market, and the longer a movie remains being shown in the theaters, the less of that money goes to the studio. But there's also the blockbuster tax. In Mexico, we had situations where films like Tenet or Suicide Squad were shown only by one of the two main chains because the other didn't want to split 65% of the ticket cost instead of the regular 45 to 55%. The cost of the ticket was the same for the public. But when Black Widow was released, the ticket cost had a 10% increase in both main cinema chains here. When I asked a person working at the cinema the reason, she said it was because for new releases, the ticket is more expensive. But other new releases like Space Jam did not experience that increase. Did something like that happen in the US? I find it interesting that in this particular case, movie theaters decided to pass the cost increment on to the audience. Keep up the incredible work. Saludos, amigos. Thank you, Dan.
I don't think we've heard anything like that of a ticket premium
price increase. Yeah, I haven't. If it happened, I didn't see it.
It's just all of the prices have just been going up, right? It's not a
it's more per movie than or per region than per movie. I think.
Yeah.
Well, Owen, JJ Stone, aka Doctor, a pleasure as always. Where can the folks find your fine works?
Was it really a pleasure?
It was really a pleasure.
I mean, I was roped into this show, guys.
Almost embarrassing how pleasurable it was.
I mean, if we're keeping it real, I mean, you can find me on the internet, IQMZ.com, @ODoctor. I'm here. You know, I'm just tired of the finagling, the bamboozling, the shim-sham. Just because Brian does the magic tricks don't mean time. You trying to get into the magic tricks to fool me.
Brian made himself disappear. It's not my fault.
Hey, look, I don't know what you putting everybody in the basement when I come on the show. That's all I know. You locking everybody up, then get me on here to try
I'm the only one that shows up, Owen. Hey, I show up.
My chopped
Ring
liver?
the bell. Let's fight. Ring the bell.
And Bryce too.
Bryce is here? Bryce, oh, okay. Hey, Bryce, what's your brother?
What's up, man?
To you.
Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on twitch.tv/Night Attack. Also carried on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We will talk to you again next time.
Hey, Tom Merritt, what's going on?
I'm just hanging out here watching this scroll go by. What are you doing?
Trying to set up a bit where we thank our beautiful, beautiful patrons, all these wonderful names.
I'm sorry, I'm too distracted looking at these beautiful, beautiful patron names going by. Look at that one. I mean, if you wanted to be one of these people, patreon.com/cordkillers would be the place to go.
I mean, they're scratching our itch, like, because we're addicted.
As long as it's consensual, like,
we're addicted to their money.
And love. Might as well face it.
Well, God damn it.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.